Every so often you read a story about someone accidentally stumbling upon a historic artifact stuffed in their attic or buried in their backyard. Sure, it seems like the premise of a fairy tale, but these things do occasionally happen. In 1785, while one farmer was ploughing his field in Hampshire, England, he suddenly heard a strange noise. After a brief investigation, he laid his eyes on a gold ring that he'd accidentally run over with his plough. What he didn't know at the time was that he'd actually uncovered an artifact that would eventually inspire some of the greatest stories ever told. Life is strange sometimes. One minute you're just plowing your field and the next you're finding an ancient artifact on your own property. So it goes, right? At least that's how it happened for one farmer back in 1785. While working on his field, the farmer suddenly heard an odd noise, as if he'd run over something hard. Concerned, he decided to see what had caused the sound. But when he knelt down to take a closer look at the dirt, he spotted something that made his mouth drop. The farmer discovered a strange gold ring that he'd never seen before in his life. After picking it up and giving it a quick once-over, he had no idea that he'd potentially just found an artifact that would inspire some of the greatest stories ever told. First, he noted that the ring was a signet, which are used to make seals. It was engraved with the Latin phrase sine vivas inda, which translates to sine scenus live well in God. It weighed 12 grams, about the same weight as a modern man's gold wedding band, and was designed to fit only on a gloved finger. Though the farmer didn't know it, the ring's origins could be traced back to the 4th century, when a Roman man named Silvanus visited the Celtic temple of Nodens, a healing god. As he bathed there, his ring was stolen by an unknown thief. Silvanus was said to have thought the burglar was a man he'd seen inside the temple named Sinitianus. In response to this alleged transgression, Silvanus supposedly cursed the man out of anger. After traveling some 100 miles away, it's believed that Sinitianus abandoned the ring in the town of Silchester. With no knowledge of this legend, the farmer who found it decided to keep the gold ring he'd found, hoping that one day he could sell it and become rich. Eventually, the farmer sold the ring to a family living at the Vine, a 16th century country manor house outside of Hampshire, who'd taken a particular interest in its origins. After making the purchase, however, it remained in their library untouched. It was largely forgotten about until many years later, in 1888, when the then owner of the home, Chelena Shute, wrote about the item. Meanwhile, a team of archaeologists were conducting a dig at the site of the old Nodens temple when they suddenly uncovered a plaque called Factosiya, or the Cursed Tablet. On it, the legend of Silvanus and Sinassinus was detailed. Also inscribed on the tablet was a quote, which roughly translated to, "For the god Nodens. Silvanus has lost a ring and has donated 1/2 its worth to Nodens. Among those named Sinitianus, permit no good health until it is returned to the temple of Nodens." Unable to verify the authenticity of this story, the tablet would sit in the estate's museum, untouched, for several decades. In 1928, however, a young archaeologist named Mortimer Wheeler and his wife, Tessa, were brought to the site to examine it. They worked at the site for 2 years before their investigation eventually led them to the vine and the ring. The Wheelers sought the help into Oxford University friends, whom they hoped could offer some insight into the stories surrounding the ring. Remarkably, those men were none other than philosopher and archaeologist R.G. Collingwood and Celtic literature and Anglo-Saxon professor, J.R.R. Tolkien. Naturally, it's rumored that the 2 years Tolkien spent researching Silvanus, the thieving Sinitianus, and their cursed ring inspired him to write The Hobbit and his Lord of the Rings trilogy. In 2013, the vine ring was moved from the library and placed on permanent display at the manor, alongside a copy of the tablet and a first edition copy of The Hobbit. Thanks to their love of Tolkien's work, the Vine family is happy to teach visitors about the history of the original One Ring. What an incredible find that farmer made. It makes you wonder what sort of other artifacts are sitting out there waiting to be discovered.